we played for like 7-8 hours straight, and the cop showed up. It was a good old time. The cop showed up, tried to grab the mic, and I was like, the new DJ's here. It's just the cop, and he's like, get the fuck out of here. I got to drive home at midnight last night. Got home at about 2:30. Woke up at 7. Got back in a semi. Drove it to Fargo. That Compass out there is a rental car. I had to drive back here and pretty much timed it perfectly where I got home, took my puppy out.
Oh, wow.
Here. Yeah. So yet another one of those days, but I'm ready for today. Hey, how's it going? My name is Ryan Netterville. I'm a DJ producer hailing from the Lakota Dakota territory. Most people call that Standing Rock Sioux Reservation. I currently live in Bismarck. Sioux Falls is my hometown. My first car was a 1991 Geo Prizm, 5-speed, maybe a 4-speed hatchback.
Did you know how to drive that beforehand?
No, actually, I didn't. So I grew up, in United Tribes. My mom was going to school for a while, and I had family that worked out there, and so I grew up in a garage a lot of my life, and around cars a lot. And by the time I was 9 years old, actually, I started to, when I was working with my grandpa, in quotations working, aka me just running around the shop, I started to go to different offices around United Tribes campus, and I'd ask people that my grandpa knew if I could wash their car, and they'd always say yes because I did it for free. But my payment was that I got to drive your car from your office over to the maintenance building.
Oh,
so luckily, it was 15 miles an hour speed limits all around there, so I was pretty safe. But yeah, I was driving cars by the time I was 9 years old.
Oh, wow.
My mom, thankfully, I'm grateful for this. She wouldn't let me get my license unless it was in a manual car. So if you guys know Burley Road down there where that big tree is that splits the tree on Washington, there's that hill that pops up right beside it. I used to have to sit there and hover for about a half hour just to make sure that I wouldn't roll back.
Oh, yeah.
They should make me practice on that. So, I guess my first initial instance with manual cars, my Uncle Sage, he had a Honda Prelude. It was a little same thing. And he asked me if I knew how to drive a stick because I was bragging about all these cars I got to drive out at United Tribes. And, of course, in my brain, I was probably 9 or 10 years old. And my only instance of driving manuals was the movie Fast and the Furious, the first one. And if you know, all of those scenes when they start racing, you drop clutch and hit gas right
those
away.
Quick shots.
So my uncle's like, you can drive stick, right? I'm like, yeah, with
Hell
Paul
yeah.
Walker in my brain. And we go out there, and he's like, are you sure? I'm like, oh yeah, I got this. And put it in first gear, and it was a bench seat kind of in there, so he was able to put his foot over by the brake just in case, thankfully. And he's like, go ahead. And I didn't know how to turn it on, so he's already weary. So he's getting ready, and I turned it on. I had it in first gear, and he's like, okay, go ahead. And yeah, Paul Walker kicked in. I dumped the clutch. It went about 2 inches before he slammed on the brake, grabbed the keys, and he's like, get the fuck out of my car. So after that one, my family all made fun of me for the longest time, calling me, Fast and Furious kid and stuff like that. So my mom made it a point to make sure that I wouldn't drive anything but a manual when I first got my license, which I'm eternally grateful for. It was great security. At 14, I got my permit when I was 14. I did the whole 6 hours or whatever, the permit driving.
Okay.
I did it in one day instead of usually people do 2 hours every weekend or so.
Yeah.
I scheduled it from 9 to 12 and then from 1 to 4 in the same day. So I did all 6 of my driving hours in one day and got my license the second you could get it legally.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I've been driving cars ever since.
In the 80s, Honda became known for its reliable, feature-filled cars.
You ready, Dad?
I love this car.
But today, the 90s begin with the new Geo Prizm. The quality sedan with 16-valve performance, Prizm is designed for years of carefree driving, with more of the features and little extras that make life easier. So you know you'll be friends for a long time. Get to know the new Geo Prizm at your Chevrolet Geo dealers.
Getting to know you.
Yeah, 1991 Geo Prizm. It was red. It was oxidized. It was my uncle Chadwick Kramer. He's a local legend. If you're at any sort of live event where the energy's pretty high, he'll be there.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. He initially gave that car to my mom to use, and then once my mom got her own car, and I turned 14, that one got handed down to me. And growing up, we were a big hand-me-down car, and we had a lot of cars at our home, and I had all sorts of cars that my mom told me were mine. And
Okay.
little did I know my name was on it, so they couldn't take it. One of those deals.
Mm-hmm.
And so I got to brag to all my friends that had all sorts of cars. But the Geo Prizm was the first one I got to drive. And ever since I was a kid, I spent a lot of time actually putting home speakers inside of cars and just taking out the little 6x9s and like putting random configurations of like walls of sounds inside of these like 86 Regals and all these old cars that had no business having stupid amounts of speakers in them.
Yeah.
And I remember I always had Rammstein to put in to test the speakers back then. I don't know what that was or what it was about, but that and Beastie Boys was the first two CDs that I always tested cars on.
Nice.
And they were garbage speakers. They were the ones that people were throwing out, and I'd go in and try and fix them with blown tweeters, and I'd still plug them in like they're cool.
Yeah.
And oh yeah. It was a little 4-speed, 5-speed. I think it was 4. I want to say 4 plus reverse. It's been so long ago. And I immediately wired it for subwoofers. That was just kind of a family thing. I grew up around the hip hop culture and lowriders and all sorts of cars and just car culture and stuff like that. So right away, I put subwoofers in it that did not need to be in there.
Yeah.
My friends and I all swapped speakers between each other's cars. Like, hey, my amp can do better than this, so give me your sub for this week, and I'll let you use my subs with this amp just to see how it sounds. So we would all kind of work together to make one car just stupid loud. And not only was the sound system loud, but I remember driving down one of those roads down south, and I hit a bump, and my muffler fell off. Well, then it's a 91 Prizm straight piped, and I have it manual, so I get to just ride the clutch and just wail on it and piss everybody else off. And I remember driving down Rosser. There's those banks with all the big windows, and between my exhaust and my subwoofers, I was making all those windows rattle, and that was my main street, because I got to watch all the windows beside me just go woo woo woo, and kind of wave and warp. So, sound and speakers and subwoofers have always been something that I kind of loved. And at one point, I was telling you when I first got here, I went to Bismarck High School, and I parked my car just about a block away, and somebody broke into it and took all of my speakers. But at the time, I had the shittiest ones, so I had the cheapest set, so I probably only lost a couple $100. Meanwhile, I had a hockey stick in there that was worth like $400 or $500 untouched.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, the hockey equipment in there completely untouched, but they took my speakers, and then it was funny because you could have bought 4 or 5 of my cars plus the speakers if you just took that one hockey stick. And so I'm
broken into, or you forgot to lock it?
It was broken into for sure,
like
but
through the window, or
I think so. Yeah, because it wasn't hard to get into. It was kind of janky as it was, and I just walked up and I knew something wasn't right because stuff was just rifled through. But I saw my hockey stick and my hockey bag in there, and I'm like, what? I don't understand the mentality of whoever went through here, because they didn't take the valuables. They just took what they thought was valuable. They just saw speakers and took them. And meanwhile, I'm like thankful I got this hockey stick. So I had to talk my mom into it for like 2 years to get me one of that price. So. That car is not only, I was talking about how it's loud. My senior and junior high school year, I let my hockey team all spray paint on it, so we just rattle canned it, and you could put whatever you want. Obscenities were only put on the roof, so you had to be taller than it in order to read it.
All right,
but
I need to know what obscenities.
There was like F words and nicknames for people that only knew that they would only know that. Just like hockey talk and just stupid drawings and stuff on the top. And
right,
there's
like
probably
a big dick.
There's probably a dick on there too. Yeah, I probably noticed it and spray painted it black, and somebody probably grabbed the can out of there and put it back on. But yeah, that car was. Other than the fact that I was the only one that I was able to drive it, I think that's another reason why my mom wanted me to drive a manual, is because no 14-year-old kid really can drive a manual. So it was kind of, its own security because you can't. None of my friends could just hop in and drive it. So
Oh, yeah.
yeah. While it was the community car, everybody knew it. I was the only one pretty much that could drive it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's cool.
Right.
Yeah, I had that same kind of similar experience. I didn't have a dick or anything on the hood, but just my first car was a 5-speed.
Right.
And that's how I had to learn.
Yeah. That's
And
awesome.
when you're on a hill and you're going back and forth
Right.
trying to fucking like just get out of the spot.
Yeah.
Oh, there's so much anxiety there too.
Right. And that's why I was so grateful. My mom would just make me hover and she'd take me up to 3rd Street there right by Buffalo Wild Wings in the middle of traffic and go, okay.
That's the spot I was thinking
Yep,
of too
exactly.
that came to mind.
She
I
would
was
make me
right
do
there
it.
at front
Yep.
and I'm like, I'm freaking out because I keep getting closer and closer to the
Right.
truck
Oh
behind me.
yeah. And then you don't want to wail on it and like dump
Yeah.
it. And yeah. Start squealing them on accident or kill it. And we
Which
would
I
go.
was doing.
Right. We'd hit green and then she'd say take a left, go back around the block, wait for it to turn red, go sit up there again. So she kept me on it and made sure that I was
I
able
coulda
to
used your
control my
mom.
vehicle.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. I was very grateful for that. Yeah. Shout out, Mom. I was thinking about all these little dominoes that fall, I was thinking about this before I got here. It was all really had to do with sound and bass. Like I said, I grew up around 64 Impalas with hydraulics, and they had stupid sound systems in there. And I used to get dropped off in school and football practice and all these crazy lowrider cars.
Oh, really?
Right, and so bass has always resonated with me, and so that was kind of the reason I feel like all these little dominoes fell. One of my best friends, Zach, he showed me my first dubstep song in his truck, and he was the first one with a car and subwoofers. He was the oldest one, and that changed the scope. That was what changed my perception of music and everything. That I went 10 toes deep into bass, and growing up with hip hop family, I didn't have so much of like a rock and instrumentalist side. Mm-hmm. So a lot of my friends always clown me because I don't know some of the stuff from back in the day, but that was just my product of my environment, right? I grew up with 808s and stuff like that, not kick drums and stuff. So that car kind of led me into, and that lifestyle that I grew up in
I'm
led me.
909. Sorry, I was looking for it.
Oh yeah.
Is that?
That lifestyle kind of led me into my second car, which is a 1992 DeVille CC. It had a drop-down grill. I found it was only one of 2 in North Dakota that was registered at the time, and that was my second car, and really solidified what felt like home to me behind the wheel of something.
Oh yeah.
And I was so young when I first got it, and the water pump went out, and I used to give everybody rides because it was such a boat, and I had speakers in there, of course, and the water pump went out, and it's a North Star, and those are the worst ones to try and work on. And I took it to the dealership, and the guy looked at me. He's like, he could tell I was a kid, and he was like, "This is going to turn into a paperweight unless you have a big boy job or somebody to finance this." And so I sold it off for scraps, and I kind of had a void in my life until that was probably when I was 20, maybe 18 years old, and that void was filled. I just got a 1988 Cadillac Eldorado. It's white, and I feel back home again after all these years.
Yeah, right on.
Yeah, right. And that Cadillac used to serve me so well. I used to bring all my equipment and stuff to a bunch of shows and house parties and stuff like that. I started out with house parties, and that's kind of the beginning of what leads me into my DJ creation and my career story. Way back when it's probably still open now. I can't remember, but there was a youth camp through the North Dakota state government, and it was called the North Dakota Indian Youth Leadership Academy. And that academy was done in the summertime. It was a chance to bring Native American youth that may not have the chance to see people and talk to people, motivational speakers, and that group really brought me out of my shell as a student, and then I got asked to come back as a mentor. Well, when I came back as a mentor, I was working with a group of people there, and one of them was a hip-hop artist, and the other one was a motivational speaker. Oh, yeah. And I really hit it off with the hip-hop artist, and we got to chatting throughout the week, and he could tell that I had a musical background. He could just see it, and I told him, back in the day, my brother, shout out my brother Drew, he used to have like APCs and all these little Akais and samplers and effects pads, and even back to the PlayStation 1, there was a game called I believe it was called Sony Music 2000, and it was just like a sampler. Is for the PlayStation, and there was no game to it. You just went in and built arrangements and got to produce music. So that was kind of my intro.
That's kind of cool,
right? Producing music on a PlayStation.
Yeah.
And then that went to this game online. It was by Coca-Cola. It was called My Coke, and you got to actually make music inside of this. I guess I'm not sure what the game platform is called, but it was like it was a social game. So you got to make a little avatar. And you got to go into your studio and create all these songs. You can make it into house, hip hop, whatever it may be, And so I remember my brother and I and my friends and I would sit there and make songs. And once you make a song, you got to go to like a DJ room. And in the DJ room, could have been 100 people in there. You level up to get more ears on you, and you get to wait for your song to play. And once your song plays, they give you a thumbs up or a thumbs down. And you kind of go against the other person in the room. And so if you win, you go to the next room and next room and next room until your song falls off. And then there's a new king of the court, basically. And that was my upbringing. I remember, my brother would go to school or he'd go to the mall, and I would sneak into his room, steal clothes, shoes, whatever it was. And I remember every single time I went in there, he was so meticulous, and he took mental pictures of everything in there that I had to like grab the little piece of hair strand and put it back perfectly.
Oh, no.
Right.
That's
funny.
funny.
Because I knew if he came home and didn't see that little hair strand on that knob that was turned perfectly to 9 o'clock on one of the samplers, I was beelining it outside, running for the hills. And so, that was kind of
How old? Or what's the age difference?
Right. Between my brother and I was 6 years. So
okay.
That's another thing I can be grateful for, is that I had somebody, 6 years ahead of me. So I had advanced insight with music and clothing and stuff like that. I was always what I felt 6 years ahead of my class in terms of maturity with sound and life experience and stuff like that.
My brother was 8 years older. Mm-hmm. But he was beating the shit out of me most of the time.
Yeah.
So.
yeah. I could not run him. I'd run from the hills. I'd make it about 2 feet before I got grabbed.
Yeah.
But
I made it about a block one time. And other kids were like, run, go.
Right.
And then he caught me.
So all that taught me was just to make sure that I took mental pictures better, so that way I could put the knobs back perfectly the way they were.
Right.
And I remember it was the worst, because I'd make all these cool sounds in these little samplers, and I'd be so proud of them. Well, then I'd look at the clock and be like, oh my gosh, my brother gets off of school here in a little bit, or he's, coming back. And so I'd have to delete the masterpiece I just thought I made, and put it back perfectly. And then that song never existed to anybody but me, because I couldn't tell anybody, or somebody might be like, Drew, Ryan's messing with you. You know what I mean? So there's so many little songs and stuff that like inspired me and kept planting that seed in my head that when I went to that camp, that artist picked up on it, and by the end of it, he said, it's in you, you just need to get pulled out. And he really liked how I talked and communicated with the youth. And after I broke out of my shell, my biggest thing is to help other people break out of their shell, because I know what it's like to be stuck in that head, right? And nobody wants to be in there. So if I can facilitate potential for somebody, I'm all for it. I want to help people really reach their potential. And he could see that, and he wanted to do that for me. And so he asked me at the last day, he said, can you grab a laptop and a mixer and start DJing? I want you to come with us. And so I was supposed to tour with these two guys. They went all over New York, Florida, Arizona, Washington, Alaska, even. They went all around to all these different Native American tribes, and they taught confidence, basically, is the simplest way. And I was told to just kind of get ready, because I'm going to start being brought on. And right before it was about to kick off, they lost some funding through the states. Fuck. I know. So I had all this preparation, and I had all this. I was ready to be a DJ and a motivational speaker. And my friend saw that, and one of my best friends, Zach, he said, well, since you can't do that, I'm having a house party this weekend. How about you show up and just play music? And that just kind of kicked off that. So, every weekend that we'd have parties in Bismarck. Well, little did I know that my best friends now were having the same parties in Mandan, and we never crossed paths.
Okay.
And so I went to all these parties, or this one house, wherever my best friend Zach was throwing all these shows or parties, and I would DJ from 10 at night to 10 in the morning, just anything I could. And I did that over and over and over and over again, where I was, mixing ABBA with Mac Miller or something with something. I was doing all these mashups, and I'm just teaching myself how to beat match, how to do my phrasing and cadences, through just DJing for 12, 13, 14 hours a day, or not a day, but, on the weekends, right at night. Yeah.
Yeah,
and that really kind of honed in my ability to listen to stuff. There's so many things as a DJ. I always tell people it's my DJ brain. Sorry.
Yeah.
I'll hear one note, and it'll be like 0.2 seconds of something, and they're like, what are you talking about? And then I'll go pull up a song, and like, I told you, it's the beginning of Rod Stewart's Maggie May.
Yeah.
Right. And just little stuff like that. It just kind of built my brain to be open to creation and listen to sound and stuff like that. So I'm open, and mashups are some of my favorite things to do when I DJ. It's the best way to bridge the gap between new listeners and showing them what I like, right? So electronic music is kind of standoffish to a lot of people. They don't see an instrument, they just see us pushing buttons or whatever.
Yes. Yeah.
And so my way to bridge that, right? That's fine, and that's fine. And so my way to bridge that gap is to play somebody's favorite song or the newest favorite song out and mash it up with something that they might not have ever heard, and then I could slowly break them in. Yeah. Right. And I do that exact same thing with instrumentalists and stuff like that. One of my other best friends, Lucas Conlon, Big Dad, he's another one that helps bridge the gap. We started that DJ group, New Rain and Big Dad, or he likes to call it Hair Down, because we were both supposed to put our hair down and go crazy every show. We never did, but he really helped me branch into a lot of the band scene, because there's a drummer there. So while I'm doing everything on my side, they can see the instrumentalist that they need to see to understand. Sure. Okay, now this is real music, right? There's a guy up there doing something other than just pressing buttons, So a lot of my the way I connect with new fans is bridging gaps, and while staying true to myself. The Bismarck or North Dakota music scene for bass music, it's rare. It's very, very rare in the fact that, just to be completely transparent, like some big headliner could come through Bismarck on a Wednesday, right? I have the ability to go play for that person because the market was so scarce back in the day. And I got to open up for all these big names and some of these bigger markets in Chicago or New York or wherever they may be, I would be not even on the totem pole. I wouldn't even be considered anywhere near it. And so to have, a community where people are driving through, it really opened the door and gave me a lot of opportunities that I don't feel I might have had I lived in another city. So I'm very, very grateful for what we've created here.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Well, you got to do some name dropping.
I
saw some on your bio, but
yeah. I've opened for quite a few people in the hip hop world. I always have to give it up to some of my friends or my best friends, the Zen people, Cold Sweat, Jansonia, Sean Hu, Buck Nasty, and More Play back in the day. Those were my idols on the turntables. Dakota Faye and the Money Stacks crew. They brought me on as a hip hop DJ because that's how I started, right? And I learned right away to not cater to everybody else, but to be able to flow with them and bridge that gap while still remaining true to my sound and what I want to present to people. So, joining with them as a hip hop DJ, I could open up for Nelly, Mac Lethal, so many big artists. We went open up for Young Buck of G Unit in a small town in Minnesota. We've had ample opportunities to cross some names off the board, and one of the biggest ones was Nelly. That was a cool one. Dakota Faye brought me to play in the main room of the Civic Center, and I used to be the mascot for the Wizards. Not a lot of people know. For 7 games there, if anybody remembers when the first donkey blew his knee out off the trampoline, I was a mascot for the Bobcats at the time.
Oh, yeah?
And
you were a Scratch?
Oh, yeah, for 7 years. From when I was 14 to when I was 21 years old.
What the hell?
Yeah. So
I probably saw you.
Oh, yeah, 100%. So I got the call to go move up to the D-League, and I got to be a mascot in there and run around and do everything, and that was my stage. Well, then how many ever years later, Dakota says, hey, do you want to come open up for Nelly?
And what'd you say? Let me think about it.
You mean like that's the CD that I grew up with, by like the sweatsuit, all those country grammar, all that stuff was like in my mom's car. They were in the little folder binders like that.
Yeah,
I grew up on that. So for him to just bring me, to see Nelly and to play for Nelly. The cool part was when we went into our dressing room, it was the exact same dressing room I used as Donkey. So it was like a full circle moment to be
funny.
like, whoa, I used to be in here and dressed up as like the center of attention for mascotting, or try to be, in those character animations and stuff. To be able to then go out into the Civic Center main room, and the stage was so big, we were playing football. We had a little Nerf football. And we were throwing across the stage, full arm and stuff, and just to be able to walk in that room without a mask on and play music with my friends was one of the coolest experiences, and I feel like we're very, very grateful for our scene because of that, because we do have opportunities to open up for people that roll through on a Wednesday or Thursday, and same with bass music. We've gotten that opportunity to have so many people come through that are now like playing Red Rocks, and it's like I have these people on my phone. I can call these people because 8 years ago or 7 years ago they were hanging out with us at my house after the after party, and now they're playing these big, huge, massive 10,000, 7,000 person venues. So I'm very, very grateful for the North Dakota music scene. I'm very, very grateful that I've been able to help foster it and facilitate potential. Like I said, there wasn't much opportunity, so we had to take what was there. So at first I started getting shows at the Mysteria. After the house party stuff, I kind of made my mark there, so a lot of people knew who I was. Well, I got a job with a pretty young crew, and they were the crew that was running Mysteria at the time. Static Control, shout out Jake and Kenan. And they gave me an opportunity. They were like, "Yeah, I didn't know you DJ." I'm like, "Oh yeah, the parties over on 18th Street?" And like, "Oh yeah, we're at the parties over here in Mandan." I'm like, "Well, that was me." And they're like, "Oh, well, you should come play over here." And they did. And I'm such an introvert as it is, but I was comfortable in those house parties. So I was at my best friend's house. It was my sound system. I was comfortable, and going out into the public and trying to show myself to the world while still knowing I needed to have confidence. I learned very quick to have a switch, right? In my brain, there's a networking switch where I know that I can flick that on, and it's time to meet people. It's time to shake hands.
Oh yeah,
what
sure.
I mean?
Okay.
But if not, I'm indoors. My hood is up. I'm in my little shell, and so to be able to have that opportunity with those guys, I walked in and I did what I could to make my mark, and it lasted, and I just never kind of left. And that's been kind of the theme of a lot of my opportunities was I showed up, I did what I do, I made my mark, and then I walked up to the owners and was like, "What do you need help with? I can do this, I can do this, I can help you with this. I don't want to leave." There was DJ competitions back in the day. I used to email or message everybody that I could and say, "Hey, it'd be sweet if you come out." I wouldn't copy paste. I give everybody, "Hey, remember that one time, blah, blah, blah." And I did a lot of networking that way. And I built a name for myself to where when I would show up, I'd have people there. And that just kind of carried through, being good to people and supporting your artists and being friendly and going to the house parties that I didn't want to go to, just to keep my name and be relevant, right? And always be the first in, last out, right? You always want to be providing the sound, because then you're the sound guy. The last one out, you're helping the hosts, thanking them for giving us a place to party, that's kind of how I started out. Then we went from Mysteria, and shows were popping off back then like crazy. There's people out the door around the corner kind of waiting to get in, sort of thing. Yeah.
Wow.
Oh yeah, back in the day there was Bass Face and stuff like that. They'd bring DJs from Denver, and we'd all look up to them, and finally we got the chance to hold the torch, and we did. And scenes and groups and people, they come and go, and I just kind of stuck with it, and I took notes of my peers, of my idols at the time. I watched them, I learned from their successes, I learned from their failures. Back in hockey, you capitalize on error. It's a big game of errors. And so if you can capitalize on an error, you can go on the offense and score. So I'm a big observer. I listen a lot. I pay attention a lot. And I was able to kind of just take notes, mental notes. Do this, do this, do this. That guy was good at this. That guy was not good at this. Write that down. And I was able to just kind of hone in my brand identity and my image for, throwing shows. I once the other groups kind of fizzled out, and it was kind of up to me. Everybody came to me and they're like, "Okay, well, what do we do now?" I'm like, "All right, well, New Rain is now New Rain Presents. New Rain presents this, New Rain presents that. So we're constantly rolling the dice and just being there. Just needed to be there. So just the consistency throughout all these years, you know, has built up a lot of confidence.
It really does.
Right.
Yeah.
And just sticking true to being consistent is what it is. And a lot of people, it's a tough market because now DJing is so easy that it's so easy to do it. And I shouldn't say that to knock myself, but you know, it's a lot easier than picking up a guitar and learning anything. Right.
Yeah.
So with that, you know, a lot more saturation came out, and there was a way to stay on top. And to stay on top, I would spend a lot more money on music. I'd find exclusives. I'd find my favorite artist, your favorite artist, and I'd hit them up. I'd spend all my 9-to-5 money and say, hey, I have a show coming up. I'll give you $10 for that song you just put out. You're not going to release for a couple months. And that person would be like, oh, sweet. Hell yeah, here you go. So I'd stand out with the freshest music. And I would stand out by being able to cater to the genres that were coming through, right? Because most people just think bass music, you might think of one genre. Well, there's so many different energies that come with, you know, there's like a funk side of it. There's like a heavier rock side of it. There's all this stuff. And I was able to chameleon myself and cater to the room while staying true to myself, right?
Yeah.
So just like I said, so I'd find my avenues to be able to say, I can play that show too. Well, I can play that show too. I can play that show too. And even if I couldn't, I would go home and learn it within that day. And I'd go in and figure it out and find what I liked inside of that and make it my own. And with mixing techniques or just song selection as it is. And that, you know, with a lot of saturation after a while, it just kind of stood out. And that's why I was able to start moving to Fargo, not moving there physically, but I started getting asked to go play there. And very, very quickly, I learned that once I kind of got it down in Bismarck and I had my name here, it became somewhat of a playground, right? I get to experiment. I get to have fun there. But when I went to Fargo, the notepads came out and I got to watch all my peers and the idols and all those guys do their thing. And that was my classroom. And it still is my classroom. You know, in Bismarck's my classroom now too. A lot of the people that came up with us, you know, we're all evolving and there's always something to learn from the guy next to you. And that's a big thing with me too, is transparency. I think, I think if I hide something from you, I'm gatekeeping potential, or I'm not fostering it. So if I teach you all of my biggest tricks and you learn them, you might come back the next day and say, hey, did you know if you do this and this and this, actually this happens? So then you trade knowledge back with me, and, you know, I'm an open book. I'm down to teach, you know, anybody anything that I can. So that part, you know, you played into the growth as well. Yeah.
So yeah, you mentioned constantly learning from your peers and people you look up to. How is it been a learning experience through the audience in general? The
audience, a big thing that I've noticed is they come in phases as well, you know, and being that I've been doing this since 2012, I've watched a lot of phases of people go through their party phase, go through their, you know, transitional phase into adulthood, basically, and some of them kind of fell off, some of them stayed in, and it's watching that flow of support and stuff like that. And I don't blame anybody for just kind of moving on and the nightlife not being part of their shtick, you know. Those are still all my friends, and I'm proud of them for taking their path. But I know that expression through me with any sort of form of art. I love graphic design. I love photography. I love videography. I love editing videos. I love doing anything that I can, you know. And I learned that there's so many ways that I can express myself, which is the ultimate, the end goal with all of this, right? It just happened to be that I grew up with music, that was my main expression. And the audience has taught me to just stay true to myself, but also do what makes me feel comfortable to create expression and to let the stuff in my head out through whatever it may be. And yeah, just kind of going with the ebbs and flows of that, you know, finding new markets, getting a hold of people in a different way. Maybe, you know, could be the TikToks come out. I'm not a big TikToker, but, you know, there's just ways to flow with people and try to stay in their audience while not, I guess, putting myself out too far out there, like in a cheesy fashion. I wouldn't say that most people are cheesy, right? It's just that they choose to engage with our audience like that, and I love it. Like Dakota Faye, the best. He's got it down. I love watching his TikToks. They're great. It doesn't make me feel like I'm watching a TikTok. It makes me feel like I'm waiting for the next news for him to come out. So, yeah, just finding different ways to connect with the artists and relate to them while I'm also staying true to myself, for sure. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man.
The North Dakota Indian Youth Leadership Academy, I was chatting about that when, that artist got into my brain. He was telling me, I want you to come do this. We were hanging out and we're just kind of fostering that idea, and we're like, let's play some pool about it. Let's go out here and just chat. We're just gonna keep formulating all these plans and stuff like that to help kids and to tour and to become what we wanted to be musically. And we started playing pool, and him and I were probably the best ones in the group, in the camp, and we kept holding down the court. And he did at first, but he didn't know that I had played yet, or he hadn't seen me play yet. And so I'm watching him crush all these kids, and I know I was fairly decent. In the room, I was one of the best players in the room, right? Maybe not now. And he's holding down King's Court for a while, and I walked up to him and I was like, let's play then. Let's finally play as our first game. And he says, well, I'm not just gonna play you for free. We need to bet on it. And so I bet a pair of Michael Jordan trunks. And we were getting cocky. We were talking to each other, talking shit. And right before he breaks, or right before I was about to break, I looked at him and I'm like, I'm about to bring a new reign to this table, because he was the king of the table for a while. Okay. And I was like, no, I'm taking over. And that was it. He looked at me and was like, new reign. And I looked at him. I'm like, new reign. And he's like, that's you. That's you, new reign. Nice. And so my imagery, I use a goat for Baphomet, for balance, rebellious, I use that imagery as a symbol of balance, but a lot of people see it and they see satanic Satanism. I play into it. I love being rebellious and having that stuff, and a lot of people think when they see the goat and they see New Reign that it's like the devil taking over or something. There's a new reign coming, Satan's coming to earth or something.
Have you had some pushback from that?
Oh, tons of pushback. I went viral because there was a bigger mainstream artist. I won't say it just out of respect for him, but
sure.
I opened for him and he made a post about it being gimmicky, and yeah, I was the one that handed off the decks, right? And somebody took a picture and they posted it and they're like, this is the guy that opened for him. Well, it was my name. Yeah. And it was my logo on the back wall. And that picture went everywhere. And then everybody knew me as New Reign, the satanic guy. Okay. Meanwhile, the whole time I'm like, that's fine, because I do play into those, I like to think I'm an agnostic atheist. I don't know what's out there, but I don't know what's out there, right? Yeah. I know. And I'm rebellious. I'm rebellious against a lot of things in the religion aspect of things, and so while I'm shooting myself in the foot with this imagery, it was also at the same time like, wait, no, New Reign was a joke. It was because I was gonna win pool, like you know what I mean. So it just kind of became bigger than itself, and yeah, that's how New Reign came to be. So just to clear the air, it's not 100% not satanic motivated. I just use the imagery, which I guess, it is what it is. But I accept it. I accept all the repercussions and stuff, just because, I love the fact that you can be a Satanist, or you can be whatever you want. You could be the nicest person ever. You could be tattooed up and have blacked out eyes or whatever, and you could be the most selfless person in the world. And I really respect that out of people. You could have people in high positions that are supposed to be saints that are not, and I just love the fact that
it's funny.
If you're going to judge based off of that and you haven't even met me yet, you have no idea what I bring to the table, right? You have no idea that my main mission is self-expression, and also to foster potential. I want to see people do great, and it's just kind of fun to me to have that. I've had people think that I was in the Illuminati and they thought I was doing crazy stuff to be popular, and it's like, no, I just put my nose to the ground and went and did the thing. I put my hours in the classroom. I put my hours at home. I stayed home. I didn't party. I went home. I went and partied while working. Like. There is no anything like that. I grinded this out. I'm very proud of that.
I'm glad that you're proud of that. Did it give you any self-doubt though, or hold you back in any way? Like
the imagery or the
pushback from the imagery, in general.
And so I think there may have been down the line, and And when I was younger, I was probably like, "Fuck you, I don't care." Then burn that bridge, because if you don't care to stand on this side of the road, burn that fucking bridge, because I don't need to know who you are if you're not ready to know who I am, you know. And there might have been some shows or something like that where I probably wasn't picked because I just look like I'm darker and stuff like that, darker imagery, you know. And so I think there definitely is some pushback for sure, and that's just something that I battle with, because I know what's true to me, and you know, my friends know me, my circle, my community knows me,
right?
And so there might be some negative effects to it, but I also see them as positive, because then I get to break those standards, I get to break those barriers. You get to shake my hand and see that I'm not some scary dude because my license plate says Satan on it, and my girlfriend says "Waiting for Satan" on it. That's if you've seen the.
Wait, really? Your license plate says Satan?
wait. We got to keep focused on my girlfriend's plate first, right?
Yeah.
so when I met her, yeah, her plate, and it went viral. There was 1 million or something like that, 1 million views on TikTok. Somebody took a video of her license plate, and it says "Waiting for Satan," W8.
Wait, let me guess. Oh, you already started.
Go ahead.
Wait. You said WA.
No. Well, go ahead.
Okay. I was going to be like WT and GSTN.
Oh, no. It's numbers in there. So W8N.
Wait, okay.
W8N4.
Okay.
S8N, I believe. It says "Waiting for Satan" when you read it, right?
Okay.
And so when that kind of, I mean, I got my license plate for my pickup, right? I have a 2000 Chevy Silverado. It's a little tank. I got it for one of my best friends as well. And I went into the DOT and I wrote down S4T4N, Satan. So the 4s look like A's. And right away, immediately, go up to the window. Lady's like, "Nope." And my rebellion was like, "Wait a second. I thought this is America."
Yeah,
I was like, "Wait,
what is America?"
Right. I did that. Then it just juiced me up, because I love a debate, and I love to argue with people and prove them wrong in their own use. And so she said, "Well, that's offensive to people," and I was like, "Well, then the Jesus Loves one that I just saw outside is offensive to me. So you can go tell her that she needs to change it. If I need to change mine, I am offended by hers as much as she's offended by mine." And so I just stumped her. I watched her go.
This argument is why we have the satanic church.
Right, exactly.
Like, yeah.
Separation of church and state, first and foremost. Second of all, our free speech. Right. And so I'm offending a religious group. And so I could be offended by their religious group, you know. I could be offended by evangelicalism, stay off my lawn trying to get me to, you know. And my girlfriend and I have had brochures and stuff like that, like, "Please repent," you know, put into our like car windows and stuff. And I just love it because it opens up the door for conversation. Like, why do you get to have that, but I can't have this? Mm-hmm. And so they were going to say no. And I did sleek. I kind of slid by them, and I was like, "Well, 44 is an angelic number for rebirth." It's not. I didn't look it up, but I'm like, it's an angelic number for rebirth, and it's actually a punk band called Satan, and they're taking back the name, you know. Oh, gave him the bullshit story, and I could just see she's just defeated. She's like, "Fuck, this kid's right. Like if this lady can have that, he can have this." And so, it's a little cute couples license plate thing when she pulls
adorable.
up, it says "Waiting for Satan," and then my big pickup pulls up and it says Satan on it, and so. As much as, like I said, I've shot myself in the foot. I think it's quirky and adorable because it's funny. Yeah, I'd like to touch on some of the projects that I've had throughout the years. You know, I chatted about the Zen people. Those guys put me on a couple tours. They just kind of said, "Hey, this kid's a DJ." At the time, now we're all DJs. We went from 3 rappers and a DJ, and then we had more playing Buck, who are our turntablists. Well, they just moved on from the nightlife and the music industry, and more plays now a comedian. He's hilarious. Buck's doing the dad thing, and once they kind of phased out, it was time for me to take over, and that's what kind of fueled me to start scratching and stuff like that. Well, I was the only DJ, kind of hip hop DJ, you know, around or in their friend circle. And so when I started doing slots for Dakota, and you know, I think the first show Dakota and I did was about 2014 or 2015 at the Post for Lucas Conlon's. He had like a hardcore show. It was like a homecoming for Post. It was like the Post homecoming show or something like that. He had a bunch of artists on there, and I got to close it out with a bass set. But beforehand, we had some hip hop artists, Kip and Dakota, and I got to DJ for Dakota just because I was there. It's just kind of your job. Hey, he's got a USB. Let him plug it into your computer. And little did I know that we'd be taking off so far and doing what we do now. Him and I have a show here, a couple of shows coming up in the next couple of months. But yeah, I started out as just the DJ. Like he'll be there, he'll show up. Ryan will drive anywhere, any day, and drive back to work the next day. You know, I used to drive to Fargo. I was just chatting with some friends last night, and I remember leaving the aquarium at 2 in the morning, 2:30, 3 in the morning, driving to my job, texting my group chat of friends or coworkers or even my boss who would get there at the same time as me. We'd both show up at 5:30, and I had to work at 7, and we'd both show up at the same time. And I look at him and say, come wake me up in an hour and a half. And I go crawl in the back of my trunk and like sleep in the dark as loud, like, you know, as I could. And somebody come, you know, I'd have a key sitting on my driver's passenger. They come knock on the thing, I'd get out.
They'll let you out of the trunk?
I would crawl up in there, and just, it was quiet, it was dark. Yeah, I need a little pod in order to,
did you know you could escape if you needed?
Oh, yeah, it's fine. But I'm a bad sleeper. I can't fall asleep. Once I fall asleep, I cannot wake up. I had issues, you know, when growing up with sleep and stuff like that. I still do. I used to have night terrors and all that, but that's a whole other podcast. And yeah, so I was the one that would drive.
No, it's not. It's this podcast. I want to get into that if we get time.
No, not another podcast person. Like, this is another episode. I'll come back and do that. Yeah. I was the one that just kind of went to Minot, went to Grand Forks, went to Fargo, whenever. If you need me there, I don't care. As long as I get gas. If we didn't make any money, I'd just spend the money just to be there and to help, you know, help out my friends. And with that, the Zen people kind of saw that, and they were just like, well, let's bring them on tour. And then the first time I went on tour, I think it was only a 7-show run. And I didn't even really know Jansoni at the time. I just knew Ryan, Tetzlaff, and Sean Trotty, or Sean Hu, and Cold Sweat. But at the time, he was Real Truth. And Sean used to be one of the best rappers for chopping and double time in the state. Forever, biggest respect to that guy. I wish he would pick up the mic again he's a producer now. He produces dubstep in a lot of genres, and he's a monster on the mic. I wish he'd pick it back up, Sean. And yes, they brought me on tour, and immediately Jansoni and I, you know, we're from the same backgrounds. It feels like we're kind of, I could feel like cut from the same cloth. Like culturally, we both love hip hop and that background, and so the first night, I wasn't smoking cigarettes at the time, and I was like, with the boys, you know, I'm gonna splurge, you know, I'm gonna smoke cigarettes. And so I picked up a pack of Newports, and ever since then, ever since that day during tour, it was like me and Jance's thing to go find cigarettes in the middle of nowhere and walk somewhere that we shouldn't be walking and getting yelled at. Like, hey, come here. I'm like, just tuck your chain, you know, like, we need to keep walking, put your head down, don't stop when they tell us to come over. Yeah. Stuff like that, getting ourselves into some sticky situations. And so by the end of it,
getting really out of your element. I always love doing that.
Yeah, just for a square, just for a cigarette. Yeah. And Newport for sure. And you know, by the end of it, we're all best friends. I think that first one, or it was the second one, I can't remember, but there was 4 grown-ass men in Sean's Honda Civic. I think the first one might have been in Ryan's little Subaru, but either way, both tours were done in, like, the Prizm. Like, we were all, like, after tour, we didn't talk to each other for 2 weeks. We didn't fight. We're just like, I've been within 6 inches of you for the past 2 weeks. Just straight. So I'll talk to you in 2 weeks. And so we went on these tours, and it just built us up so much, and you know, we became such a close homie, such a close knit crew, and you know, everybody, I'm proud of them. We all even though we still, you know, rep Zen people in our hearts and stuff like that. I know Jan still uses the logo. I love still using the logo and stuff, but we kind of all ventured into our own paths, and now we're bigger than ourselves, and it feels great that they kind of put me on. A lot of people gave me a lot of opportunities just because I was there. I showed up first in, last out, because you're going to miss your opportunity to capitalize on success if you're not there. And so that plays a big part into it, which then just, you know, introduced me to my best friend Lucas, and we met just through partying and stuff like that, and then all of a sudden I started being at the same shows he was. He was doing sound for these ones. We started hitting it off, and we did the project duo, Big Dad and New Rain, and one of our first sets was down at this thing called Bizman Burning Man down south. I think I had a dispatch friend, and the 911 dispatch, we got like 21 calls about loud music down there, where they brought too fat of a sound system, and they let Lucas and I just have the keys to this rig. It's probably Lucas's sound system, and I think the first time we played, we practiced for an hour beforehand. I've never had played with a drummer or anything, and we set up in the basement in Mandan somewhere in some business, and we practiced for an hour, and then we packed up and went out to this party, and we played for like 7-8 hours straight, and the cop showed up. It was a good old time. The cop showed up, tried to grab the mic, and I was like, the new DJ's here. It's just the cop, and he's like, get the fuck out of here. Jeez. But we were all so drunk and dickered up that they couldn't make us leave. We were like, well, you're going to make us drive drunk.
Right, yeah,
and
of course.
They're like, fuck. So then they brought like breathalyzers, and they're like, you guys, we're going to start breathalyzing you guys. Once you're fucking legal, you guys are out of here. We're tired of babysitting you. So all of us were like, cool. So we turned our backs to him and just started chugging tequila, trying to see who could get the highest number. Well, then it just backfired because it's 2 p.m., 3 p.m. rolls around, and we're just like, you guys is still here? You guys can go away now? And that just those opportunities with Lucas, and we just kind of grew and finally we started getting some more plays, and we got invited out to Prairie Pothole Music Festival. It was 2017, and at the time I was reached out to as a headliner, as one of the first electronic headliners there. There was a guy, Justin, he goes by Lodge Beats. He was the DJ there, but he just kind of played music from his computer, and I was the first one that was contacted. Like, we're getting an electronic guy, there's a DJ, Pizzo, John Wardner. He told me, or he tells people all the time, he asked who to pick, and everybody said New Rain. So I'm thankful for that, and he brought us out there as headliners, and Lucas was running sound already out there with a couple friends, so we were like, all right, well, if Lucas is going to be there and Ryan's going to be there, we're going to do the project, because Lucas, I need you to help me bridge the gap, because I'm the only electronic person at this festival, and I'm about around a bunch of jam band kids, and DJs sometimes do not mix, because they're like, what the fuck are you even doing up there, right? And so that's my bridging the gap. I'm like, Lucas, you're already going to be there. Let's just do the damn thing again. And so, the first year we played, I think we went from there's probably 20, 25 people to 9 by the end of our set. And we played for 3 hours straight.
Nice.
And I remember seeing each person out in the crowd, and the energy and stuff out there that was just so, it was so amazing, and it just felt like home. And the second that we got done, we went and sat on some friends' grab chairs, the yachts chairs, and in that moment right there, we sat back and we started looking at the stars, and the stars are fractalizing and all that, and we just kind of look at each other like, we're never leaving here. And that was 2017, and we went back, and I went and talked to Pizzo John. Same thing. I was like, what do you need? I can do this for you. I know this person. I got this black book. Whatever you want, I'm not leaving. And went from Saturday night electronic headliner to the next year's electronic talent buyer. Well, then talent buyer went to stage manager. Stage manager went to all this other stuff. And so towards the end of it there, Lucas had departed from the company. And so for 2 years, I was the general manager. And it's on a hiatus right now. But just that initial moment of being out there, and just that same thing, I was like, I'm not leaving here. Whatever this is, whatever is something. Takes. And we turned it from seeing 9 people out there to, we had one of my favorite artists. The first year I got to take over as general manager, I really wanted to show people who I was and why I am the way I am with my music. And so for our bass headliners, I booked the guy who taught me how to make drum and bass, up-tempo stuff. I brought the guy who taught me how to do dubstep, the 140 slower, the head bobbing stuff like that, or the head banging, I guess you could say, that same tempo. And I brought the guy who taught me mashups, Wicked the Instigator, Alejo, and Prophet. Those were our headliners that year, because I wanted to show people, hey, this is why I am the way I am. These are the people who inspired me the most. These are the people who taught me how to be me. And to go from 9 people in the crowd to Wicked the Instigator's set was one of the best sets we've seen out there at the time. And I mean, respect to him, it still is. In its own regard, it was one of the sweetest, euphoric, like nostalgic sets ever. And I'm up there behind him, bawling my eyes out with my phone camera because, like I said, I could see 9 people. 2017, 2021, 22, or whatever it was. I couldn't. It almost like a sea of people to me, you know, to see. It wasn't that many. It's probably a couple hundred, maybe 100 people or so, maybe 150 in that pit. Yeah. But to go from 9 to 150, I was bawling my eyes out. Yeah. And so to have those experiences and to have all these people from, you know, we had people from London, UK. We had Mike Wallace. We had Spoonbill from Australia. We had all these people come from all these different places to little old North Dakota, and they'd come from Minot Airport, Bismarck Airport, and they'd drive, they'd see wheat fields and cornfields and sunflower fields. And like, where the fuck are these guys taking me? I feel like I'm going to get murdered. Yeah. And then they'd just come into the Grove or they come into the Pothole and they'd see sound systems that they see on Facebook and stuff like that. And that's a big part of it too, was bringing all these sound systems and all these people just in to experience and to, you know, escape life and to learn things. And just being able to climb the ranks and stuff like that at Pothole and help do what we did out there is so humbling, and it's something that I'll forever cherish with me. And the projects that I got to do out there as well, you know, between running from being a stage manager, what time is it? It's 3:59. Oh shit, I have a set at 4, you know, halfway across the venue. Running over there, being like, okay, now I'm new Ryan. And then be getting done with that, be like taking that house, be like, okay, I'm Ryan, here's my 2 walkies. What do you guys need? What do you guys need? Okay, you know, and running back and forth. And I got to do so much stuff with hip hop and just kind of being sporadic. And I remember Wildly Appropriate, actually, they hit me up, Sonda did. I was going through a rough time in my head, and it was kind of perfect that she hit me up to do a collab on a song for me to cover music. It's a teleprompters. It's Kimya Dawson and ASAP Rock. They do a song that spoke to me, and I listened to it. And I was never a rapper. Correction, I was a rapper for like one show. I got booked to be a rapper. That's another thing nobody really knows. Back in the day, you know, one of my best friends, he wanted to rap, and so he was kind of a little nervous to do it himself, and I was like, fuck it. I like just expressing. We're all having fun. And so I picked up a pen and pad, start writing stuff like that. And I have music on SoundCloud that I'll probably never release and show people, but I was a rapper for a small point in time. And then one of my best friends at the time, still to this day, Helmet, Zach Melgard, he hit me up to be booked for a show and to perform on stage and do the song that I did with him. And it's like, at the time, I only did it to help my friend. So for me to, in the process of helping my friend get my first booking opportunity before he did, he was so much more talented than I was. And just that one set kind of broke me. I was like, I this is fun, but I didn't do this for this. I did this to help my buddy here, and I don't want to do this anymore. And it was a very, very short-lived rap career, probably about 2016 or something like that. Yeah, I did one song, and that was it. Never picked up the mic again until Sonda had hit me up, and she said, I want you to do the A$AP Rock part. And so I listened to it, and I like A$AP Rock. He's crazy vocabulary, you know. His cadence is crazy. Sometimes he doesn't stick to the beat, and he just has like words like discombobulated somehow rhyming with something else that's 9 or 10 syllables, and you're like, what the hell is he even saying? And the song she picked out like really resonated with me so well, and I got to perform that song at Laughing Sun, and then I got to do it Prairie Potholes. So just all the opportunities that happened out there and the things I got to do and experience and express myself with, definitely something that I'll forever be proud of. And they're memories that I finally get to share with people. You know, it's not just a Snapchat on you know, a memory. You know, I'm happy that I get to spell all this out in word vomit too, right? Because there's so much stuff in there. I'm like, oh yeah, that's right. That one time I was a rapper. Oh yeah, that's one time. Yeah, you know what I mean. So. Yeah, between Prairie Pothole and bringing all these sound systems together and stuff like that, and these people, I just am a good friend. I'm a good person. I love talking to people. I love giving hugs, and I made all these connections. And it, you know, I started to be able to call people from around the nation and say, hey, right, what are you doing in November? What are you doing on this day? What are you doing on this day? Oh, well, if you have a show or something, I'll come down there and play. And that turned into opportunities where people didn't have a show, but they're just like, come play anyway. Like, we'll set up a show for you. Just come down here. And so,
right on.
And so with that connection and with those abilities and all these amazing friends with all these huge fat sound systems and hand built and turnkey brand name stuff, I was able to kind of reach out and start to build a little black book, and it kind of led me to doing some touring and you know, we had chatted about that one show that I got in trouble, or you know, I got the gimmick thing thrown at me for the satanic stuff. Well, little did I know, that was one of the first shows where I started scratching really live, and I started doing it really well to what I thought, and so obviously other people too. One of my friends from Wichita, he had shared my video, and once he shared that video, another person who owns one of the most notorious sound systems in America, Shay and the Tribal Roots family, they saw that and they hit me up to play on this sound system that I thought I was getting punked. I was like, there's no way this is real, because the last time I went to Wichita, I played for some fun people. They were fun, is all I'll say. And I was like, I don't think I'm ever going back to Wichita again. The people were cool, but it was just out of the energy of the room and stuff. It was just like, this might be a one and done. But I got to do a meet and greet because I was like a headliner, because these people saw me in Bismarck and they lived in Wichita. We're like, we're moving back to Wichita. We want to bring you back home with us.
Oh, yeah.
And so I went down there and played that show, and yeah, I kind of had that viewpoint of Wichita. I just felt a little greasy. And so when these guys hit me up and I went to go Google the sound system as Element 5 sound system, it's the most gorgeous, crazy looking, sweet. It's a mean looking sound system. And I thought I was getting punked until I went on Facebook, and one of my, you know, idol artists is Turning and Sound, I believe. They shared a post and they're like, hey, we just saw that Element 5 is shipping a sound system to Wichita. And so in my brain, I was like, oh, fuck. That wasn't what that was. I just got hit up to play the sound system that my idols are like wishing they could play on. And so I went back. I'm like, hey, oh, you know, I'm just kidding. Yeah, for sure. And so I got to you know, meet that crew, and I've been fortunate enough to play quite a few sets with them. And this won't be released when they announce it, but there's a pretty big show coming up in November. I guess I can spoil that a little bit, but I'll be heading back down there, and yeah, I'm very grateful for all these opportunities, so I can just kind of make a route with my friends. So instead of you know, the way I see touring for a lot of people, which I totally understand, if you see it to pay your bills and you want your music to pay for your bills, that's fine. That's your avenue. With my life experience and everything that I've gone through, music is not to pay my bills. It's to get that anxiety out of my brain. It's to get that emotion out of my brain. And if I can do that well enough that my friends say, yeah, we'll trust you to come throw your name on the top of a flyer or wherever it may be, you know, we'll let you crash on our couch, like just come down. And with that, I've been able to spiderweb all these sound systems around America and start to plan tours. And I just released a tour yesterday, August 12th. And August 12th, I celebrated 8 months free from alcohol. I also went to Billy Strings. I'm like, what better way to celebrate 8 months of clarity than to announce the sound system tour, where I'm introducing my homie now. He's not. He needs more followers. He needs more ears. He just started releasing music, and he's from LA, and he's just a young pup yet. And I want him to see again foster potential, you know. So I brought him, and I'm like, hey, I just planned these shows. I want you to come with me. I did the same thing with my sister. She goes by Fluid Architect. We do Fluid Rain. We're going to be going on tour, and we're going to be going down to a couple states here and doing our thing. And a couple of them are headlining slots and stuff like that. So it's just, being able to put my spiderwebs out there and see who's going to grab and say, hey, come down here. And just really like visit sound system crews and see how they work. Sleep on their couches, find the best Euros in town, find the greasiest bowling alley in town, and go play 10 frames and stuff like that.
Yeah,
that's kind of why I'm in it. You know, I want to travel and see my friends more than I need it to pay my bills. Because the second you want it to pay your bills, there's weight to it where you might not feel you're good enough. You know, growing up when I first started doing it, I had flyers stacked on top of each other on the wall because those are my accolades. I felt so cool having said name next to said name and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
Well, then when the pendulum swung, into its ebb or flow or its ebb, you know, I was like, man, I can't keep up with all these posters. They started haunting me because I wasn't able to keep putting up posters that were that caliber, right? So one day I just took them all down. I have them all in a folder, very nice, but
mine are right here,
right, right. And one day when somebody cares enough about old Uncle Ryan or something, I'm like, look here, kid, shout out Noche, and show them, you know, all the stuff that I got to do, and that. Just taking that pressure off of it and not having to feel like I need to do this to pay my bills, it provided so much clarity that I'm able to just express again instead of think like I'm not good enough or I'm not doing this. You know, that takes you away from the true culture of it all. And it's not to have your name on the top of a bill. It's not to have thousands of, you know, it could be to you, but to me, it's just really about experiencing life with people, with good-hearted people. Yeah.
Fuck yeah, man. Holy shit. Here.
Right. And so with that, I just want to convey the message too. Like it's easy to put 100% into one thing. It's easy to put 1% into 100 things. It's just about finding your balance. So I have bad trouble with that. I put my toes into everything and anything I can. And so just kind of honing in and giving time management to each medium has brought so much clarity and just release from anxiety. So don't ever feel like you're pressured to do anything. Just release because it makes you feel good. You know, you can't ever doubt yourself. You can't ever doubt your visions. Never doubt your visions. And the biggest thing too is to take care of what takes care of you. I feel like growing up with my cars, stuff like that, my grandpa Jerry taught me, whether it's your car, your oil change in your car, it's a video game that you have. That video game takes care of you because it provides you escape, relief. So don't fucking just leave it on the PlayStation and get all scratched up. Put that goddamn thing in the case and put it away. And that translates to, you know, between the cars, like I said, and your equipment, your people, your family around you. Take care of your people, take care of your community, because that support will carry you a long way. And that's why I feel like I'm here today, because I tried my best to be, you know, as humble and selfless as I can and help everybody around me, because then I get to watch us all grow. And I'd like to leave with that. Take care of what takes care of you, for sure.
God damn, man. Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, we just met, and I think I can say I love you.
Yeah, dude. Yeah, we'll see a lot more of each other, man.
Yeah, hell yeah.
Yeah, thank you for that, man. I never really got to just kind of let it all out, and
right,
that felt good. I'm sure there'll be something, but I feel very comfortable, dude. That was awesome. I don't think there's something I could have missed, and if so, I'll just be like, oh yeah, by the way, or something, you know, or we'll just come back and talk about sleep paralysis.
Yeah.
I'll teach you about sleep paralysis inception, where you think you're awake and you think you got woken up, but you're not.
Oh fuck.
Yeah.
That just freaks me out.
Great stuff. Yeah.
And we're back.
Yeah, so
that was a lot of pee. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Good thing toilets have that thing. If you put in too much water, it'll automatically flush.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.